Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, let's see how to build a Instagram clone in Python and convert the same to an Android app. As a Python developer, you will face these questions. Can Android run Python apps? Can I make Android app by Python? Can mobile apps be developed using Python? How do I turn Python code into a program or app? Is Python good for mobile apps? Yes, the answer is yes. You can generate an Android app using Python code itself. We will show you how. Whenever we refer to other videos, we will put the sticky notes. Please refer to those videos also, for which the links will be given in the description. Following softwares are used: Ubuntu, Python 3, Kivy 2.3.0, KivyMD, latest development version is used. And to build the Android app, we used Python for Android. This is a fork. This is the fork of the Instagram clone, which is written in Python already by Subranil. This link is also given in the description. So earlier clone was written with the earlier KivyMD version, which is not working anymore. With the latest development version, a lot of things have changed. So the existing code is not at all working now. So there has to be modified or to suit the latest development version. And there have been several additions in the latest KivyMD version also. Further, the existing code was not converted to an APK. Current code will convert to APK, install it in an Android phone also. The current code can be downloaded from the link in the description. It has several components which are shown in this screenshot in this folder structure. Here, main.py is the major file which is the main file to run the Python code. It has two folders, libs and assets. The libs contains all the Python codes and Kivy language files for screens and other components. The assets like images, fonts, and the data to generate the stories and posts are available in the data folder. The home page is governed by the homepage.kv file and homepage.py file. There are several components which can be seen in the components folder. We'll see one by one. This is the final result of the app. We have a header section, and a body, and a bottom navigation bar also. This is the main layout. This has several components. As I said earlier, this is the app bar, which contains an icon and the text Instagram and another Facebook Messenger icon. The second one is the body or scroll view. This can be scrolled in the vertical direction. The whole amount, the entire scroll view can be scrolled. Further, the top story part can be scrolled in the horizontal direction. So you have two scrolls. But while scrolling, this top app bar and this bottom navigation bar will not be scrolled. Only the scroll view which is mentioned will be scrolled. The third one is the bottom navigation bar. Here we have several icons and one avatar image of the current avatar, which is same as this one. For the current part, only GUI will be discussed. We are not. This is the main.py file content. Here we are importing the MD app and window and builder, and the home page which is written in the homepage.py in the libs folder is imported. Here, this is the major class. It's MD app class. Window size we will disable right now. We will discuss this a little later. Now this will load all the Kivy files which is present. The load function will load the home page, all the Kivy files which are mentioned here. Different part of the layout is defined in those Kivy files. Once the layout is loaded, current layout is loaded, this onStart function will be executed automatically. Whatever command is given here will be executed. Here, this onShot command will execute another command to add the top stories. This execution of this on enter will add these stories as well as these posts. Now let's see how the home page is developed. As we mentioned earlier, the home page is in the libs screens, and here you have two files, homepage.py and homepage.kv. This is the Python file and this is the Kivy file. The home page is importing the MD screen and it imports a JSON. This imports another classes called postcard, circular avatar image, and the story creator from other libraries which are in the component folder. As you see, as we see, the home page is a MD screen. Here we have two functions. One is the on enter function. As we saw earlier, in when the layout is loaded, that will execute this function after the layout is loaded. And here two functions will be called. One will list stories, another one will list posts. Now we'll see how the KV file looks like. The KV file is as I said, this is the MD screen. MD screen has several content. Here we have the left side is the KV language file, and right side is a graphical representation of the same. So this will make us easy to understand. This will help us to understand the layout better. As I said earlier, the home page itself is the MD screen app, so that defines the entire screen. So everything whatever is defined here will be in the home page. First one is the overall, there is a box layout. This shows, as I said earlier, the home page contains several stuff. One is app bar, another one is MD box layout, and another one is bottom nav. Here, this representation is showing the components which is inside the MD box one or MDB one simply called, and the app bar will come here. Bottom navigation will come here. First, let's see how the app bar will look like. This is the main.py file. Here it imports a KV file which is called app bar. We'll open the app bar also. Go to libs components, appbar.kv. Here, this is a MD top app bar class. Here there are mainly three things. One is leading button container and title and trailing button container. This has the leading button container will have a plus icon. The trailing button container will have Facebook Messenger icon. The Instagram is mentioned as a text for the top app bar title. Here, this is the leading edge container, and this is the trailing edge container icon, and this is the text which was mentioned in the app bar file. So totally these defines the app bar class. Now let's see how the scroll view is defined. The scroll view is defined in the homepage.kv file. With this part of the kv file that defines the scroll view. This is having a one MD box layout, which is the parent of all, which is called MDB1. This MDB1 is the largest rectangle here, and inside it has one scroll view. So this red one is the scroll view, which is called SV1, and the scroll view has another MD box layout inside. This MD box layout contains several things arranged in the vertical manner. This is having another scroll view as well as the other items which are the timelines will be added to this. So later, this has one MD scroll view here, and below this the story, the timelines will appear one by one. that will be added by the code itself. So this first SV1 is responsible for the vertical scrolling, and the second scroll view, this is SV2, because here uh, the SV2 which is mentioned here, which is having the story creator as well as MDB4, which is having a idea of stories. So all those stories will be added one by one here, and this SV2 scroll view is responsible for the scrolling in the horizontal direction. So this SV2 is in SV1. So all entire layout, entire components will be scrolled in the vertical direction, and there is a possibility of scrolling only this part in the horizontal direction also. You should note that these are mentioned by different IDs. The timeline ID is for MDB2, which is here. So all those components which are added to the timeline will appear here, and this MDB4 is having an idea of stories. So this whichever added to the stories will appear one by one here. There is a class, or there is a story creator MD card is also present, which will show your avatar picture, and there is a text below it, which you will see it a little later. So that will be added to the MDB3 first, then a MDB4 is also added. They both are added in the horizontal direction, because this is the default for MD box layout. Let's see how the code functions. So let's open the folder location in terminal, and type the type kv hot. This will reload the window whenever the files are changed, which is very useful while designing the GUI. This will run the current this will execute the current main.py in the current folder. So this is, as I said, this is the overall GUI developed. So here, this is the top app bar, and this is the bottom navigation container, and this is the vertical scroll view. So this can be scrolled vertically, and the top stories part will be it can be scrolled horizontally. So when you scroll this, that will also be scrolled. We'll see one by one. First, let's go to the main.py folder, main.py file. Here, first one is the homepage.kv. We'll open the homepage.kv screens, homepage.kv. Here, this MD screen has one MD box layout and one top app bar. App bar will disable everything else other than app bar. This will throw us some error, because it will try to, the code will try to execute this on start function. On start function will look for the other IDs also, which are missing at present because we have disabled it. We'll open the homepage.py and disable those two. So those functions will not be called. Now only the app bar is present here. We'll open the app bar also. Go to libs, components, app bar.kv. So all this present inside here are now they appear in the layout. We'll only enable the MD box layout, which is in between. We'll save it. Yeah. Now the app bar came here, and This is the top line, because the other contents from here is missing because we have disabled those two functions. They are responsible for adding the content here and the content here also. Right now only this story creator is added. Yeah. So this has, as I said earlier, this has one MD box layout, one scroll view, and inside it has adaptive height equal to true. This adaptive height that performs a special task. If you don't enable it, it will occupy the entire space which is available here. When you enable it, it will occupy only the minimum height required for it. I'll disable it. Run it. So now it occupies the entire space here, and it is always in KV file whichever appear, they will always appear at the bottom. So whenever you add, they will add at the bottom below this. I'll enable it again. The story creator, I'll disable it. So now the story creator is also not appearing. We'll see the content of the story creator also. Story creator is governed by this Python file, as story creator is a MD card file where with the string property of avatar is also defined. The KV file here, it has several components. They are named with several names. Each circle is called C1, C2, and one image is also added. The circle is used again and again, and the basic circle is a MD card. So the MD card is referred and it is customized for different MD cards. So we have several MD cards that is positioned inside the parent MD card that defines the story creator. A part of the story card KV file is shown here. As we mentioned earlier, story creator itself is an MD card. It has several elements positioned inside using the MD relative layout. MD relative layout is same as the MD float layout, except all the components will have their position in relative to its parent. Whereas float layout, all elements will have their position in relative to the root of the KV file. This is a story creator is having the size of 60 and 120. So that is the size. Let's say this is the overall story creator, which is the MD card, whose size is 60 in the horizontal direction and 100 in the vertical direction. This is having one MD box, MD relative layout also, whose size is the same as the story creator. This has several circles, circle 1, C1, C2 and fit image. Fit image. Let's see what the circle is. Circle is defined at the bottom of the KV file. Circle is also a MD card whose position is always at zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.6 of the parent layout. Now this is the relative layout whose size is the same as the parent layout, let's say, and here the each circle center is positioned at the 0.5, so it means at the center, and the vertical center or center y is defined at 0.6, so it will be from 0.6 times the height of the MD relative layout. So this will be at 60 pixels from below. So each circle will be using these values and they'll be customized to have different sizes. The C1 first we'll see how the C1 looks like. The C1 is imported using this circle which will import the C1 settings. When C1 is introduced, it will introduce a rectangle because MD card is a rectangle. So its size is mentioned here, 60 in the horizontal direction, 60 in the vertical direction. So when C1 is introduced, it introduces a rectangle whose background color is mentioned by these RGB values. So this is just a rectangle, and when the radius is introduced, it will apply a radius of 60 so that it will look like a circle. So without this, it will look like a rectangle. Let's see how it looks like in the layout. We will disable all the other entries. Only the circle one is shown. I'll disable the radius also. So it is now just a rectangular MD card. So now the size here, it is 60 by 60, and when the background color is, as I mentioned, it is defined by these values. I'll enable the radius now. Save it. So now it look like a circle. Now similarly, the second circle is introduced. Circle C2 is enabled, whose radius is slightly lesser than the first radius, and size is also reduced, and the background color or color is changed to white. Whenever we mention the radius, the rectangle will look like a circle. Now we will when the C2 is introduced, it will introduce a white circle inside the first one. So this one, first one is the C1, second one is C2. So now we have enabled this also. I'll save it. Yeah. Now it looks like a white circle inside a gray circle. Now we will add an image. That image is defined by I1, the fit image, where the source is defined in the root itself, where the profile picture is the location of the profile picture is mentioned here. So the profile picture will have hold this location, and this profile picture will be used homepage.kv file. The avatar is mentioned as root.profile picture because the profile picture mentioned in the main.py will be referred as avatar here, and this avatar text property will be used in the story creator because here this root.avatar will be used, so that will refer the profile picture mentioned in the main.py file. I will enable the fit image also. Now the picture appears here. Picture appears inside the circle, white circle. So the image, it will initially look like a rectangle, but when the radius is defined, it will look like a circle. So now the second one, this C3 will also be added. C3 is a white rectangle. I will enable C3 also. This has added a small white circle because that size is different, 17 by 17, and which is positioned is also different from the other circles we have mentioned so far. Here X is pushed to the right and Y is pushed to the bottom so that it appears here. We will add the other image also. Now the plus icon will be added here. Now the plus icon also appears. This is the plus icon which appeared in the other picture here. So finally the layout, the label is added at the bottom. The layout or the label which is having your story as the text which is mentioned here will appear. Now the basic layout. First the image is shown now. Now we will add the other stories also one by one here so that they'll appear in the horizontal direction. That is done by mentioning by running the function list stories here. List stories that will I will enable the list stories. It will add the it will add the stories one by one. What this function does is it will open the JSON mentioned in the stories, and that will add the circular avatar image also. Avatar image class with the avatar and the name. Avatar is the or is represents the picture, and the name represents this text that is defined in the assets data stories.json. Here it is having several subcomponents. Each entry will have a avatar and the location, and it is having the name is mentioned. This will be used as the name here, and this image will be used to generate these images. So this will go for the text, and the image will go to the image folder, image location. Similarly, Similarly, all the entries which are mentioned here so that you can are added to the stories top side, you can add your own entries also here, mentioning some name here and the location of the image. It can be in your PC as well as from the internet also. These are governed by the circular avatar image.kv, which is similar to the story creator which we saw earlier. This is also having one MD relative out, which is having several cards inside. One thing you need to have is uh, you need to have different name for here. If you have same name for the name circle here, because we have mentioned circle for in the story creator. If you use the same circle here also, sometimes it will create issues, because even if you disable or if you comment those circle entries in the story creator, since if you name this as circle here, whatever value mentioned here which will govern the values in the story creator also, even if you disable those entries. So it is good to have different names for different common entries. Here it is mentioned as circle 2, and that circle 2 is used again and again here. Only the difference between this and the story creator is we have not added the plus icon at the bottom. Else, it is almost same as that. So it will refer this, and it will refer this, and it will add the label root dot name. That name is referred from the JSON file, and root dot avatar, that will refer the location of the picture mentioned in the JSON file. Now this stories is added. We will add the posts one by one. That we will enable the list posts also. This is also similar to the other list stories function which we saw earlier. This will load the post.json in the asset folder, and it will add entries called postcard to the ID called timeline. This timeline was mentioned in the homepage.kv. So that will hold this entire MD box layout. So whenever this function is called, it will add entries one after another because they are stacked vertically, which is mentioned here. So I'll enable this also. So this list post will add entries, all these entries. Each is an individual entry. This one is an individual entry, and this is the second entry, and this is the third entry. We will see how this postcard is also defined. Postcard is in the postcard.py. Postcard is in the components folder. Postcard is also a MD card, which is having several properties, like several string properties here, which will be used to mention different text inside the MD card. And postcard.kv is having a label different stylized differently. One is a half opacity label will have a transparency level of zero point 0.5. This will be used here. And the postcard is having several MD box layout, fit image, MD box layout. As I said, postcard is an MD box layout which is having several elements here. One is the MD box first, all are stacked vertically, which is mentioned here. So whatever elements added later will be added vertically. One is the first one is the MD box layout, which is called MDB5. Then one image, which is called post. Then another MD box for reactions, another MD box for likes, the next MD box is to add comment, the last MD box is to show the time when it was posted. So these are mentioned with different MDB9 here, for which can be seen in the visual representation. So one is the first MD box here, which will be used for display the avatar image and their name as well as three dots, and then image is posted here. Then what are the reactions, what are the likes, what is the to add comment and to post time, those MD box layout are added vertically. First one is the MD box layout 5, MDB5. This has one MD list item which is having a headline text as a username, and leading avatar is mentioned in the avatar, and trailing edge icon is vertical, dots vertical. This is the entire MD box layout, and in which this MD list item is mentioned, and this leading text is this one, and leading our avatar is this picture, and this trailing edge icon will be these three icons. these values are these values are referred, the username and avatar is referred from the JSON file, which will be in the assets data posts. This is having several entries. Avatar is having location of the JPEG file, and the name is entered as a key of the JSON. This also has other entries. When what is the caption, how many likes, comments, and when it was posted. These values will be added in the postcard. Next one is the post fit image. This source post, whichever from the JSON, will be added as a image here. Next one is the reaction layout. Reaction layout is the reaction MD box layout, which is here, which is having one hot outline, message outline, send outline, which are these three. Then one widget is placed to have a space here, and the last one is the another icon button, which is called bookmark outline. Yeah. Next one is this. layout where it has three labels which are mentioned here. One will show you how many likes first, and the second one will give you what is the username and what is the caption. Caption is mentioned in the JSON file. The last one will give you how many comments are there. All are stacked vertically by mentioning this orientation as vertical. Next one is the layout to add comment. This has two. One is the fit image as with the avatar. The second one is the text or text label, MD label with the text as add comment. Last one is the small text which is added with when, which is added to indicate when this post was added. So this shows the overall postcard layout, which is this whole section. Now we will enable the bottom nav in the homepage.kv file also. We will enable it. Now the bottom navigation is enabled, which is here, which is having several icons and one profile picture also. Bottom nav is governed by the bottom nav kv file. Bottom nav is another MD box layout. This having several icons and one image, all are stacked in the horizontal direction because the default direction in MD box layout is horizontal. So whatever icons we see, the home, magnify, movie, hot outline, all these four will add the icons here. These four icons will be added based on that. The last one is the image. This is just same as the your uh, your profile icon. That location is given here, and the size, radius, position, everything is mentioned. Now, since we have developed the GUI, let's build the APK. To build the APK, we will use the Python for Android. To build the APK, go to a terminal, execute this command. This has several entries here, and this is P4A, which is for Python for Android to generate APK. And this is the folder. I have copied the document code to the document folder because we have observed certain errors when the folder structure has space. So either make sure that the whatever is the folder mentioned doesn't have space. So to remove those ambiguities, we have copied the code to the document folder. And here this is the name of your package, and this is the name of your icon, and we mentioned some version number. And what are the requirements? This is the major stuff you need to mention as Python 3, and the mention the version number also, because we have observed that if you don't mention this Python version number, we will end up with an error. We have encountered the error that when you open the APK just stops, or the logcat entries will just stop with this line, and the app crashes automatically. And there is no mention, there is no further log given, so that we are unable to identify what is the root cause. So it is better to mention the Python version number to avoid this error. Now, as requirements as Kivy, material U color, exception group, async GUI, and async Kivy here. And since this development version is used, it was suggested that to use the zip file location in the requirements also. But when we used it, when we used the zip file location, we found another error saying that the archive master.zip recipe is missing. So to avoid this, we have copied the whole KivyMD folder inside the code folder. Please comment if you come across a better approach. We'll mention the SDK directory and NDK directory, what is the minimum Android API, NDK API, and for what are the architecture you want to target. Here V7A and V8A, one is for 64-bit, one is for 32-bit, which are most common. We have added, and we'll give the internet permission also, because the images has to be downloaded from the net, and this icon will define the icon of your app. The pre-splash icon is also mentioned here, and we have chosen red as a pre-splash color. We'll run this command. Now the APK is built. We'll go to the folder where the command is executed. Now this is the APK. We will install this in the Android phone also. Let's open the app which is built. This is the custom icon which we mentioned here, and the name of the app which you mentioned in the Python for Android. I'll say install. And put in more details. Now the app is installed. I'll open it. This is the pre-splash screen. It'll go blank for a few seconds. Please wait. Now the app is opened. As I mentioned here, this is the top bar. Since the number of entries are lesser, we may need to add more items to have the horizontal scrolling. Now it will have the vertical scrolling also. The bottom bar navigation bar is available at the bottom. Now we have generated the code, and we have built the app also. Now similar way you can write Python code and convert them into an APK. The source code for this and the APK can be downloaded from the links given in the description. Thank you for watching the video. If you find this video useful, please comment below. See you soon.